Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen recipes that, like some cake recipes, you see some call for butter, but then some cake recipes call for oil, and then there are some other ones that you see a combination of butter and oil, and do you wonder why? Okay, so that's why I'm making this video for you guys, so you can know which one is better. Should you bake with butter, or should you bake with oil, or should you bake with both? Or you can consider your options and choose whatever you want. Okay, so today I'm going to be telling you the difference between baking cakes with butter and baking cakes with oil, and what is the difference. And we're going to be considering 4 criteria today, which is the taste, the texture, how to serve them, and how to store them. So number 1, we're going to be talking about texture. Yes, so look at this cake, and I want you to look at the texture of the cake, and look at this one. It is slightly different, yeah, and they are both vanilla cakes. Okay, so I want you to look at this third one and tell me what you think. Of course, it is different as well, even though it is also vanilla. So what do you think is the difference in these cakes, even though they're all 3 vanilla cakes? What do you think is the difference? Is it the baking time? Is it the recipe? Or is it the oil or the butter? What do you think is really the difference when you look at this kind of cakes, even though they are the same flavor? So today I'm here to help you out. So stay tuned and watch this video to the end. Okay, so considering texture, yeah, cakes made with butter, like you know, is solid at room temperature. So cakes made with butter are a little bit more firmer, like slightly tougher when you touch them, like in texture. So the crumbs are kind of tightly knit together, so they're not as fluffy as cakes made with oil. And that's because oil at room temperature is liquid. Yes, so when you keep your cake in the fridge, or when you're keeping your cake in room temperature, it is a lot more softer and fluffier, and even taste better and a lot easier to eat. So for me, texture is better when you're using oil versus when you're using butter. Okay, so number 2, we want to talk about taste. So when you're talking about taste, you have to think about the composition of both butter and oil. When you're thinking of butter has 85% fat and 15% water, and then 5% dairy milk products, kind of. Okay, so and when you're talking about oil is basically just fat. So, and in butter cakes are a lot creamier, and that's because of the milk solids in the butter, and it tastes better, and it gives it this amazing buttery flavor. And like I said initially, it's because of the milk solids. But in the case of oil, you don't have any of those. It is just like plain. It doesn't impact any flavor into your cake. Basically, it is just going to make it soft and really nice and very fluffy. Okay, so that's all about taste. So we're going to consider number 3, which is storage. Okay, so you know, at room temperature, butter is solid, so which means if you reduce the temperature a little and keep it in the fridge, of course it will be harder. So when you compare your cakes, when you take a cake that's made of butter and a cake that's made of oil, and you put it in the fridge at the same temperature, the one that's made of butter is a lot harder and firmer. Of course, you know, that's because, of course, of the temperature and the fact that butter is hard at a lower temperature. And so you also have to remember the fact that butter has some water in it, so your cake tends to dry out because that water dries out with time. So, and in the case of oil, it doesn't have that, and it has longer shelf life because you don't have those dairy products that can reduce the shelf life. So in the case of storage, you want to consider oil and not butter. Okay, so number 4, we want to talk about serving. Yes. So usually, of course, you know, you serve your cake straight out of the fridge, yeah. So if you're using butter, yes, and you're trying to serve your cake straight out of the fridge, you can't eat it immediately. You have to make sure you leave it to like get to room temperature, otherwise your cake would be hard. It's not because the baker didn't bake it right, but it's just because, of course, it will be hard when you take it out of the fridge. But in the case of oil, that really doesn't apply, because oil is like, you know, at room temperature, oil is like, you know, liquid and everything. So even if you reduce the temperature, it doesn't get as hard as butter. So it is easier for you to serve a cake made with oil straight out of the fridge, and you can serve with fruits and all of that and everything. So cakes made with oil like kind of store well, and you can serve them almost immediately. Okay, so I hope these points I gave you guys are like, you know, can help you in deciding if you should bake with butter or you should bake with oil. In my opinion, though, I think you should bake with a combination of both, depending on what recipe or depending on what flavor of cake you are making. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful to you guys. And if it is, remember to give me a thumbs up on this video, because I work really hard on these things. And follow me on Instagram as _cake me away. And remember to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell notification so you can get notified every time I post something new. So thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy this videos because I enjoy making them for you guys. Okay guys, thank you, and I will see you in my next tutorial.